I've been a doctor for over 3 decades, and there's one thing I've learned again and again. Most people misunderstand what aging really is. They think 60 means slowing down, losing capacity, preparing for decline, but that's only true if you act like nothing needs to change. The truth is, 60 is not the end of vitality. It's a shift, a new phase, and like any new phase, it requires new strategies. Let me put it this way. When you were 30, your body could forgive almost anything. A sleepless night, a heavy dinner, skipping breakfast. Your metabolism and resilience would cover for you. But after 60, the same body starts asking for more intention. You don't bounce back the same way. Recovery takes longer. Inflammation rises faster. Muscles lose tone without even asking for permission. But that doesn't mean you're powerless. It means you need to become smarter. I always tell my patients, this is the decade of listening, not ignoring, not pushing through. Listening. Your body gives signals more clearly now: pain, fatigue, anxiety, digestion issues. These are not enemies. They're invitations. Invitations to look deeper, slow down, and take charge of your choices in a way that younger people simply don't understand yet. Let me give you a real example. One of my patients, Richard, came to me at 62. He said, "I don't feel sick, but I don't feel alive either." He was sleeping fine, eating healthy, walking a little, but something was off. We looked deeper. He was eating too little protein, moving too little during the day, and never challenging his brain. With just 3 small changes, a protein-rich breakfast, short afternoon walks, and 5 minutes of daily memory training, he came back 3 months later saying, "I feel sharper than I did at 50. That's what I mean by a turning point. At 60 plus, your body still works, but it demands more respect, more consistency, more awareness. That means, don't eat based on what worked 20 years ago. Eat for what your metabolism needs now. Don't rely on energy that used to just be there. Create it with better sleep and movement. Don't assume pain is normal aging. Investigate it gently and persistently. And here's another thing. Your mental habits matter more now than ever before. If you wake up every day expecting decline, your brain will find proof. But if you wake up curious, willing to adjust, open to building something new, your health will follow that mindset. So what should you do right now? Start tracking how you feel. I'm serious. Keep a simple journal. Energy levels, mood, digestion, sleep. Most people don't realize how much control they actually have until they see the patterns, and once you notice that eating earlier improves sleep, or that a 10-minute walk lowers anxiety, you're no longer aging passively, you're aging intentionally. This is your chance to write a new manual for your body, a personal one, not based on what worked for others or what worked in your 30s, but what works now for you. Because 60 is not a deadline. It's not the beginning of decline. It's the moment where health becomes a conscious act. And that, my friend, is power. One of the most dangerous habits I see after 60, and honestly, in people of all ages, is excessive sitting. But after 60, it becomes far more harmful. Why? Because recovery slows down, blood flow changes, and the body becomes less forgiving with every decade. Let me be blunt. Sitting is not just resting. Sitting is a metabolic shutdown. When you sit for hours without moving, your circulation slows dramatically. Your blood pools in your legs. Your lymph system, which helps remove waste and toxins, stagnates. Your digestion weakens. Even your brain receives less oxygen. Now combine that with aging. When your muscle mass naturally declines, your bones become more fragile, and your heart works harder to stay strong. And you've got a dangerous mix. You're not just sitting. You're slowly turning off the systems that keep you alive. As a doctor, I've seen this over and over. People in their 60s, 70s, even 80s come in saying, "I'm just tired all the time," or "My back hurts," or "I feel heavy after eating." They think it's normal aging, but often it's not age, it's inactivity. Let me tell you about Barbara, a 67-year-old woman who came to me with leg swelling, brain fog, and low energy. She thought it was heart issues. It wasn't. It was 8 hours a day in her favorite recliner watching TV. We made just 2 changes. She stood up every 45 minutes and stretched for 2 minutes. She walked 10 minutes after each meal. That's it, 2 small habits. 1 month later, her swelling dropped. Her mind felt clearer. Her digestion improved. She didn't need a pill. She needed movement. So, what can you do right now? Doctor's daily advice. Stand for 2 minutes every hour. Even just pacing around the room or swinging your arms helps blood flow. Walk 10 to 15 minutes after meals. This simple act helps digestion, regulates blood sugar, and clears your head. Elevate your feet once a day. Lay on the floor with your legs up against the wall for 5 minutes. This helps circulation, reduces swelling, and gives your heart a break. Set alarms. Don't rely on willpower. Use your phone to remind you to move, at least once every hour. And here's one more thing. Movement isn't about burning calories anymore. It's about turning on your systems, your digestion, your brain, your joints, your immune response. All of it benefits when you simply stand and move. So no, you don't need a gym membership, you don't need fancy shoes, you don't need to run marathons, but you do need to stop sitting for 8 hours straight. Because every hour you sit without moving, you teach your body to slow down, to weaken, to forget what vitality feels like, and the longer you let that happen, the harder it is to get it back. This chapter is not about guilt, it's about awareness, and it's your invitation to treat movement not as exercise, but as medicine. After 60, many people try to eat light. They skip meals, avoid meat, or just nibble on crackers and fruit. It sounds healthy, but often it backfires. Your body doesn't just need fewer calories, it needs better nutrition. And if you cut the wrong things, the body starts to lose muscle, energy, and immune strength. Let's be clear, protein is not optional after 60. In fact, you need more of it than ever before. Your muscles naturally shrink with age. It's called sarcopenia. And without protein, the process accelerates. I always tell my patients, the goal is not to be skinny. The goal is to stay strong enough to live well. One of the most common mistakes I see? People skip protein at breakfast, they grab a piece of toast or just drink tea, but this sets the body up for low energy, poor focus, and overeating later. You don't need a steak, just one boiled egg, a spoon of cottage cheese, or some Greek yogurt makes a huge difference. Fiber is the second silent warrior. Most older adults don't get nearly enough. And yet, fiber helps prevent constipation, lowers cholesterol, and balances blood sugar. My recommendation: start your morning with oats, berries, or a tablespoon of flaxseed. It's a tiny step that supports everything from gut health to mood. Here's the truth. Eating less is not the answer. Eating smarter is. Focus on protein, fiber, and hydration. And stop fearing real food. You don't need expensive supplements if your plate is balanced. And if you're not sure where to start, just ask, did this meal give me strength or just fill my stomach? So let me give you a simple daily plan. Breakfast: 1 egg, a slice of whole grain toast and berries. Lunch: chicken or lentils with brown rice and vegetables. Dinner: soup with beans or salmon with a small salad. Drink water throughout the day, especially if you take medications. Your kidneys and liver need support too. Food is not the enemy. Food is your pharmacy. But only if you eat what your body really needs, not just what feels light. Many people over 60 focus on strength or endurance, but forget one critical element: balance. Yet most falls and injuries I see in older patients don't come from weak legs. They come from poor coordination. The brain loses some of its sharpness with age, and the connection between mind and movement weakens. This makes everyday tasks, like turning, bending, or stepping off a curb, surprisingly dangerous. What's worse is that balance isn't just physical, it's deeply neurological. I always tell my patients that training balance is like brushing your teeth. It should be daily, quick, and consistent. One simple habit I recommend is standing on one leg while brushing your teeth or washing dishes. At first it may seem silly or even difficult, but it forces your brain and muscles to work together in a focused way. Over time, this improves joint stability, posture, and reaction speed. It's a micro exercise with macro results. Another practice I teach is heel to toe, walking in a straight line, like you're walking on a tightrope. This type of movement wakes up the nerves in your feet and trains your body to stay steady in motion. If done for just a few minutes each day, it builds proprioception, your body's internal GPS. The stronger this sense becomes, the more confident and safe you feel with every step. Confidence reduces fear, and fear is what causes hesitation, which leads to falls. You don't need fancy equipment to train coordination, just a quiet hallway, a bit of patience, and your full attention. I often walk with my patients during sessions, asking them to shift weight, pause mid-step, or close their eyes for a second. These movements reveal a lot and help retrain the nervous system gently but powerfully. In fact, I've seen people regain more stability from balance drills than from physical therapy alone. Ignoring coordination is like ignoring the steering wheel in a car. You can have power, speed, and fuel, but without control, you crash. As a doctor, I've watched too many healthy people fall and lose their independence because they never trained for balance. Don't wait for a scare to realize how vital this is. Make balance a daily habit, and your future self will thank you every single time you get up and walk without fear. Many of my patients over 60 come to me with the same complaint. "Doctor, I just don't sleep like I used to." And they're right. Sleep changes with age. Melatonin production naturally decreases, stress tends to rise, and the body's circadian rhythm becomes more fragile. But what most people don't realize is how much their habits, not just age, affect the quality of their sleep. One of the biggest issues I see is screen exposure late at night. Phones, tablets, and even television emit blue light that tells your brain it's still daytime. This blocks melatonin, delays sleep onset, and makes rest more shallow. I always recommend creating a wind-down hour, a full 60 minutes before bed, with no screens, dim lighting, and relaxing activities like reading or gentle stretching. This helps the brain transition naturally into rest mode. Another common mistake is eating dinner too late or consuming heavy meals close to bedtime. Digestion competes with your body's effort to rest, keeping your system active when it should be winding down. I advise my patients to eat dinner at least 3 hours before sleep and keep it light but nourishing, like a warm soup or grilled vegetables with some protein. Herbal teas like chamomile or lemon balm can also help soothe the nervous system. Many people try to fix sleep with sleeping pills, but they don't solve the problem. They sedate you, yes, but they don't restore the body or repair the mind. Real sleep is about rhythm. Going to bed and waking up at the same time each day, even on weekends, helps train your internal clock. Just like a muscle, your sleep gets stronger with repetition and care. And here's something often overlooked: daylight. Getting natural sunlight in the morning, even just 10–15 minutes, signals your brain that the day has started. This anchors your circadian rhythm and makes it easier to fall asleep at night. So don't underestimate a morning walk, even if it's just around the block. Good sleep starts long before your head hits the pillow. It starts with how you live your day. In all my years as a doctor, I've learned that not all hunger starts in the stomach. Especially after 60, many people begin to eat not because their body asks for food, but because their heart does. It's something rarely talked about in medical textbooks, but I see it every day in my practice: emotional hunger. The quiet pull toward food when the house is too silent, when the phone hasn't rung in days, when the evenings stretch on with no one to share them with. Loneliness, boredom, sadness. These emotions often disguise themselves as cravings, leading to snacking, overeating, and a complicated relationship with food. One of my patients, a widower in his 70s, told me he started having 3 dinners a night. Not because he was hungry, but because that was when he used to eat with his wife. The plate became a placeholder for her absence. Another patient ate cookies late at night just to feel something sweet in an otherwise bitter day. These aren't stories about poor willpower. These are stories about unmet emotional needs, needs that food was never designed to satisfy. When I recognize this pattern in someone, I never start by talking about calories or sugar. I start by asking, "Who have you spoken to this week? What made you feel joy today? When did you last laugh?" Health isn't just nutrition and movement. It's connection, it's purpose, it's feeling seen. That's why one of the most healing things you can do isn't changing what's on your plate, but changing your emotional environment. Reach out to someone. Sit outside and feel the sun. Write a letter. Volunteer. Join a group, even an online one. Human beings need other human beings, no matter their age. And if no one calls, be the one who calls. If no one visits, be the one who knocks. Emotional nourishment doesn't always come to us. Sometimes we have to seek it. And that's not weakness, that's wisdom. The most resilient people I know don't avoid their emotions. They acknowledge them. They give them a name, a space, and then find healthier ways to respond. Because once you separate true hunger from emotional hunger, you regain control, not just of your eating, but of your entire life rhythm. Food can comfort, yes, but it cannot heal loneliness. Only human presence can do that. And when you begin feeding your soul with purpose, connection, and meaning, your appetite for unhealthy habits fades. What you're really hungry for isn't always in the fridge. Sometimes it's just someone asking, "How are you, really?" If I could prescribe just one thing to every patient over 60, it wouldn't be a pill. It would be a rhythm, a small daily ritual. Because real health isn't built in hospital rooms or emergencies, it's built quietly through the things we do every day without thinking. Over the years, I've seen the difference a 10-minute walk after dinner can make. I've seen what happens when someone drinks water before coffee, stretches before scrolling, or simply opens a window before breakfast. These little acts create momentum. They remind the body it's cared for. They remind the mind that it's still in control. And when life starts to feel chaotic or heavy, rituals become anchors. They give structure to the day and safety to the soul. Many older adults wait for motivation, but motivation is unreliable. What works better is a ritual so small, so automatic, that you do it without negotiation. One of my favorite recommendations is to place your walking shoes by the door every evening. That way, in the morning, your decision has already been made. Another is writing down 3 gratitudes before bed, or brewing a cup of herbal tea, not just for hydration, but as a signal to slow down. These aren't hacks. They're signals to your nervous system that life is manageable, one moment at a time. I've watched patients reverse years of bad sleep, anxiety, and inflammation, not with expensive treatments, but with consistent habits. 10 minutes of light movement in the morning, a short walk after lunch, a digital sunset where screens go off an hour before sleep. These things don't feel dramatic, and that's the point. They're sustainable. And sustainability, not intensity, is what heals you after 60. You don't need a new lifestyle. You need a steady one that fits into your real life, not into an ideal you'll never maintain. The beauty of rituals is that they're personal. Maybe it's watering your plants every morning or sitting outside and feeling the breeze on your face. Maybe it's calling a friend every Sunday or reading one page of a book each night. These small actions may seem insignificant, but they tell your brain, I'm still here, I'm still trying, I still care. And that, in itself, is powerful medicine. It creates a sense of identity beyond illness, beyond age, beyond fear. So if you've been feeling stuck or unsure where to start, begin with one ritual. Make it small, make it yours, and repeat it until it becomes a part of you. Health is not built in big declarations. It's built in quiet repetition. And if this message has reminded you of your own strength, I invite you to subscribe. Because your journey doesn't end at 60. It starts with one small, powerful step.